Hello, everybody. Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Over the Line Hot Takes. Here we are again on this Wednesday, July 12th. Man, it's already July. This is crazy. But we got this thing going, man. We're totally excited to be bringing you guys this 3 times a week. A little video, make shareable. You can watch it live. You can watch or listen to it after the fact. A quick update, like we're posting this not just on the normal places, like we're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at the same time. So that's already there. But we're posting this on Rumble as well. So you can go subscribe to our channel on Rumble. I think it's Andrew McLean Who on Rumble. Go subscribe to that. Help us out over there. And also subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you can't find it, if you can't find AndrewMcLeanWho.com, which is the website, you can search Over the Line Andrew McLean. I believe that is going to bring it up because we've been so censored and pushed out of the algorithm, it's hard to find us. So that's where you need to get us. I got several things to talk about today. I'm going to kind of recap some of the things that I talked about on the radio show because they're so vitally important, but also they pissed me off in a way that I can't even describe. And it's something that they've used for a long time that I don't know that everybody is grasping a hold of. And it's one of their main weapons that they use to condemn people like you and call you Nazis or racist or white supremacist and all of that jazz. Before that, though, let me tell you about my boys over at Wild Hair Jerky. This is the place. Y'all heard me talk about Wild Hair Jerky on the radio show before. Top-notch beef jerky. I'm not even lying to y'all. This is it. This is the jerky right here. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go over here to their Facebook page. I want you to click that like button right over here. You see, I've already liked it. Now it's your time to like the page too. Go over there, like the page. They're about to be open, and they're going to be slinging this jerky. It's the best in the business. I'm telling you. You think I'm playing? I keep this stuff. Hold on. I keep this stuff on standby. What's this? Hold on. Look at this. I get him to mail it to me. This stuff ain't no joke. And for those of you watching me on video, I know I look red. I was in the tan bed earlier today. Look at this. Look at this. That's backyard barbecue flavor. You know what? That backyard barbecue flavor, it's so good. I haven't even opened it yet because I know as soon as I open it, it's going to be gone. That flavor in particular tastes just like, this is my opinion, just like Golden Flake barbecue chips. Oh, my God. It's so good. So good. So go over there to Wild Hair Jerky's Facebook page. Like the page. But do this, all right? Wild Hair Jerky, H-A-R-E, like the rabbit, not like a hair on your head. Wild Hair Jerky. Go like their page. And if you will go do that now, make sure you've liked their page and send them a message and just say, hey, now, heard about you on the Over the Line podcast. You could win yourself a Wild Hair Jerky tumbler. Looks similar to this one. It's actually going to have a even better logo on it. Get yourself a Wild Hair Jerky tumbler for free. He's going to mail it to you. If you're the first one to get over there, we got more to give away. But if you get over there, like the page, send him a message. Not only are you going to get yourself a tumbler, but you're going to be right there, have a front row seat to some of the best jerky on the market. No lie. I'm telling y'all. It's the best of the best. So, what's one of the things that pissed me off today? Well, it was, as you heard on the radio show this morning, I watched an interview that's a couple days old from CNN. Tommy Tuberville, our senator here in Alabama, former football coach, a guy that you wouldn't necessarily peg as a racist, especially seeing that he has coached so many African-American young men in the past. You kind of got to do that as a football coach. It'd be hard to do that as a racist. But don't tell that to Caitlin Collins. And maybe with Caitlin Collins being a graduate from the University of Alabama, maybe that's where this is coming from. Maybe this is literally an Iron Bowl thing. Or hear me out, or Caitlin Collins is a blubbering idiot. It's one of those two. And I hate it for you guys that are graduates and fans of the University of Alabama, Crimson Tide's okay, you're my arch enemy, I get it, but Caitlin Collins belongs to you. That's all I'm saying. I can't do nothing. I'm a Tennessee guy. Bubba Wallace belongs to us, Mr. Garage Door Pull Noose. Okay? I'm not proud of that, but Caitlin Collins belongs to y'all. With that said, I want you to see this interview Tommy Tuberville did with her, and they're talking about some stuff in the military related to the abortion issue. And, of course, the left is so concerned with members of the military being able to get abortions and being stationed in a state that doesn't allow them to abort a child at, 36 weeks or whatever point they're wanting to abort a kid or whatever. That's what they're arguing about. But somehow, because CNN is so good at this, somehow they figure out a way to make it about race and white supremacy in particular, because we know that's all CNN cares about. Watch.
Conservatives, Democrats, whoever wants to be in the military to fight for this country, to protect this country. That's what it's all about.
But just to be clear, you agree that white nationalists should not be serving in the U.S. military. Is that what you're saying?
If people think that a white nationalist is a racist, I agree with that. I agree they should.
A white nationalist is someone who believes that the white race is superior to other races.
Well, that's some people's opinion, and I don't think.
That's
I mean,
not
a
opinion.
lot. Pardon?
What's your opinion?
My opinion.
That's not an opinion.
If somebody wants to call them white nationalists.
She said, that's not an opinion. I'm CNN. I tell the truth. I know all.
To me, is an American. It's an American. Now, if that white nationalist is a racist, I'm totally against anything that they want to do, because I am 110% against racism. But I want somebody that's in our military, that's strong, that believes in this country, that's an American, that will fight along anybody, whether it's a man or woman, black or white, red, it doesn't make any difference. And so I'm totally against identity politics. I think it's ruining this country, and I think that Democrats ought to be ashamed for how they're doing this, because it's dividing this country and it's making this country weaker every day.
But that's not identity politics. You said a white nationalist is an American.
It is identity politics.
You said a white nationalist is an American, but a white nationalist is someone who believes horrific things. Do you really think that's someone who should be serving in the military?
Well, that's just a name that has been given. I mean,
it's not. It's a real definition. There's real concern.
No, I mean, Tuberville's right. It's a name that's been concocted by the left, the white supremacists. Were we talking about white supremacists 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Was that a thing? No. Oh, that's right. We were busy electing the first black president. Right. But now, all of a sudden, now that we've made those great strides and had a black president for 2 terms, for 8 years, now white supremacy's back. Because you didn't vote for the black guy. You voted for the orange guy. So now we're back to the pre-civil rights era, according to CNN.
So if you're going to do away with most white people in this country out of the military, we got huge problems.
It's not people who are white. It's white nationalists
that have a few probably different beliefs.
Right?
That have different beliefs. Now, if racism is one of those beliefs, I'm totally against it. I am totally against racism.
But
there's a lot of people that believe in different things.
Is racist, Senator?
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. But if it's racism, I'm totally against it. I am totally against any type of race, or any type of racism. I don't care what it's in.
Okay, Senator Tommy Tuberville.
It's not an opinion. We're CNN, and whatever we say goes. Oh, I'm Caitlin Collins. Here's the thing. Tommy Tuberville's problem in that interview was that he's doing too much common sense talk. Like, what he's saying makes sense. He's saying that your definition of white nationalist really doesn't make 2 drops of monkey crap to me. I don't care. I don't care what you think a white nationalist is. Everybody's got different opinions about everything. Half the people in this country don't even know what a woman is. All right? So a white nationalist can be whatever they want it to be, unless it's racism. Now, when Tommy Tuberville says, I'm against racism, that's the end of the conversation. That's it. Because isn't that what Caitlin Collins is allegedly accusing Tommy Tuberville of? Racism? Supporting racists? We don't want a white nationalist in the military. Oh, my God. Now, actually, I want everybody in the military to be a nationalist. That's right. So if they're white, if they're black, if they're Asian, Hispanic, as long as they're a nationalist, actually, that's a good thing. You want nationalists in the military, people that are about their own nation. Because guess what? That's what they're signing up for. They're signing up to defend their own country. They need to be a nationalist. If they happen to be white and you want to call them a white nationalist, that's fine. If they're black, you want to call them a black nationalist, that's fine. As long as racism's not involved, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Except for CNN. Because, again, everything is racist and everything is about race. So after that interview, CNN felt like they had something going on for once. They're like, oh, man, we might actually get some attention now. People may watch it because we caught Tommy Tuberville, former NCAA football coach, saying racist stuff, saying that he supports racism, even though he explicitly said he didn't, supporting racism and supporting white nationalists in the military. He wants the military to be completely white nationalist. Pretty sure that's what he said. And Jake Tapper not too happy about this. Jake Tapper has actually got his panties in a wad. Literally. Listen to this.
Caitlin also pressed Senator Tuberville about his difficulty condemning white nationalism, which has been a months-long issue for the senator. Today, Senator Tuberville tried to clean up his messy interview with Caitlin. Take a listen.
I'm totally against racism. And if the Democrats want to say that white nationalists are racist, I'm totally against that too.
But that's not a Democratic definition. The definition of a white nationalist
Well,
is
that's your
someone...
definition. My definition is
the
racism
definition.
bad.
The
Next question.
The definition is that the belief that the white race is superior to all other races.
Totally out of the question.
So do you believe that white nationalists are racist?
Yes, if that's what a racist is, yes.
He got a little mad. He got a little angry. But why wouldn't he? Do you see how that reporter just goes and goes? But a white nationalist is a racist. That's a racist. Tommy Tuberville, it's a racist. I would consider it a win. If I'm a senator and I walked away from that situation without slapping that girl in the face, I would consider that a win.
Okay, boy, so that didn't clear up anything. And just for those who are out there wondering, white nationalism is racism. It is the belief that whites are superior to other races. That's what it means. That's the definition. That's not a Democratic definition. That's the definition.
No, actually, it is a Democrat definition.
But after that, Senator Tuberville finally told our Manu Raju off camera that white supremacists are racist. Now, Nia Malika, this is a 60...
That's all we wanted. All we wanted was for you to bow to the pressure. But guess what? You can't do that. If you're Tommy Tuberville, you can't do that. You've got to say, no, I'm not backing down. What I meant was that if you're a white nationalist and that doesn't mean racism, then that's fine with me. It starts and it stops with racism. So whatever you say or whatever they play word games. This is what you got to understand, and this is what I talked about earlier. They play word games, and they did it relentlessly with Donald Trump. Remember the Proud Boys, the QAnon? He said, will you denounce the KKK and the Proud Boys and whatever? And he's like, I don't know anything about, will you denounce David Duke? Well, who's David Duke? Who am I denouncing? Oh, you see how he hesitates? He obviously supports the KKK and David Duke. He said, will you tell the Proud Boys to stand down? Like, what is this? This is exactly the tact. This is nothing new. And as I tell you all the time, it's they don't use any new tactics, it's easy to spot exactly what they're doing. And I do wish Tuberville was a little more prepared. I don't think it's that he necessarily bombed the interview, but I wish he was a little more prepared in the sense of knowing how this thing works. They didn't want to know the answer of whether or not Tuberville supports white supremacists or white nationalists. They wanted him to fumble over his words and fumble over their questions so they could then turn around and be like, see, we told y'all. We told you. Tommy Tuberville's a racist. And as a matter of fact, Jake Tapper goes on to say that some of the things Tommy Tuberville has said is some of the most racist comments he's ever heard from a senator. Let me see if I can find that real quick. The most racist thing to ever come out of a senator's mouth.
He actually is having difficulty with the definition of this, or is there something perhaps more nefarious going on?
Listen, you know.
Do you find it credible that he actually is having difficulty with the definition are racist? Now, Nia Malika, this is a 68-year-old white man who's lived almost his entire life in the South. Do you find it credible that he actually is having difficulty with the definition of this, or is there something perhaps more nefarious going on?
No, yes, much more nefarious because he's a Southern man with a Southern accent, and everybody knows that if you're from the South, that you're inherently racist. You're racist. Your parents were racist. You learned that racism over time. You learned it from your grandparents. And in reality, there's really not many of us that experienced a whole lot of that. And for those of you that live in the South, you actually know when you meet somebody from the North that comes down here and visits for the first time, they are not only pleasantly surprised by what they're met with, but on the topic of race, they'll often say, man, it's less racist down here than it is up north. How many times have you heard that? You hear it all the time. Every time you run into somebody. Yeah, man, it's more racist back home. I thought y'all were back here living on plantations. No. In reality, you want to talk about progressive? The South's probably more progressive than anywhere else because every other place is going backwards. And with Jake Tapper's comments that that's the most racist thing he's ever heard come out of a senator's mouth, it is important to note, and maybe Jake Tapper doesn't understand, that there actually was a senator that said far more racist things than Tommy Tuberville ever thought of saying. That senator's name was Joseph R. Biden.
A lot. And I learned that, and Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro, good for the black in the South. Other than the fact that they still call me boy, I think they've changed their mind a little bit.
If Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot. Is it because blacks are involved in Haiti?
It was old media that got him in trouble. Personal comments he made about another White House hopeful, Senator Barack Obama.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
He's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run.
It hadn't worked out for Joe Biden, to say the least. It's over and over and over again. Joe Biden has continued to make racist comments. And people, they're starting to realize that. They have, because these things get played. in the day and age of social media and just people questioning things. People are starting to find out. Everybody except for Jake Tapper, apparently, because Tommy Tuberville is the most racist senator he's ever heard from. It's not just recent Joe Biden either. He's been doing it for a long, long time. Joe Biden used to hang out in Congress with known racist segregationists, and he really used to be a segregationist himself. Think about how we live in a time where if you were to have, said something that is highly offensive when you were 14, you were young and dumb and Twitter was kind of new, Facebook was kind of new, but you were wanting to be an edgy teenager and you said something that was offensive and that resurfaced. Next thing you know, you got canceled. You may not even be a public figure. You may be just a regular Joe. You could get fired from your job because of views you held a long time ago. Not to mention you were a child, but just years and years ago, you used to hold a certain view, so it disqualifies you from being any part of society. That would ring true for any lawmaker on Capitol Hill. Any lawmaker on Capitol Hill that had the same record and had said the same things as Joe Biden has said in the past, they would be forced to immediately resign. At least Republicans would. They would not put up with it. They would pull the plug on that lawmaker so fast as soon as those resurfaced. And the sad thing is these aren't things that are just now resurfacing. They've always been a matter of public record. And the Democrats continue to support this guy. Because the Democrat Party is the party of racism. And if you don't align with the Democrat Party, they will cancel you. Just like Roseanne Barr. Roseanne went out. She said the things that she wasn't supposed to say. They took her whole life from her. Not just her TV show, not just tons of money she was making off the thing, because that TV show was an absolute hit. But they turned her work family against her. People she had worked with for decades turned them against her because they were told, no matter what you think about Roseanne, whether you think she meant to say it or not, if you want to continue to work in Hollywood, if you want to continue to work on TV, you've got to denounce Roseanne Barr. That's what happened to her. That's what has happened to so many people. And it's good to see Roseanne still out here fighting against that cancel culture. If you listen to the show today, you heard she was recently on Piers Morgan's show. And she made Piers Morgan look like an absolute clown on the issue of Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is something we can talk about on another day because that's not going anywhere anytime soon, especially with Joe Biden saying on a stage today in Lithuania that NATO is going to accept Ukraine at some point. But, again, another day. When it comes to people being canceled, the reason they get canceled is because they say things like expressing opposition to Ukraine. Roseanne did that on Piers Morgan's show, and Piers was none too happy about it.
I'm from the Ukraine. The Ukrainian, there is a large faction of Nazis. I don't know if you know this, but there's a large amount of Nazis in the Ukraine, and they actually killed my whole family. I'm from the Ukraine, and they marched my entire family, grandmothers, great-grandparents, 10 siblings out into the forest and buried them alive in the Ukraine. So I don't understand why everybody's Ukraine. Well, I do understand, and that's also what terrifies me. People better wake up and do some research on their own instead of buying what comes across on the screen. And I try to shake them up, Pierce. You're goddamn right I do. I try to shake them up and crack their mind control programming. I do it for God.
Well, here's, Roseanne, what I would say to that. I don't agree with you about a lot of the stuff you said about Ukraine. I know what you said, and you're perfectly entitled to your views. I would say in relation to the suggestion that they're all a bunch of
You
Nazis.
haven't seen the swastikas on those
Roseanne,
soldiers' arms?
The
It's in the
President Zelensky
news.
himself is Jewish, so obviously he is de facto not a Nazi.
I know, but he's not a good one. Are all Jews the same? For God's sake, talk about anti-Semitic. Just because a guy's a Jew doesn't mean he likes Jews or that he's doing anything good for the Jews. I mean, so what? Who cares what anybody is? That was the whole point of my tweet. Just because they're skin folk don't mean they're kin folk. You know what I mean? Just because they're the same color as you don't mean they ain't trying to lock your ass up. Wake up, people!
Roseanne, nail on the head, man. Every time I hear this lady speak, I'm like, nail on the head. And all of those things you heard her talking about just now, that is why she continues to get canceled. Because she's speaking the truth. There are Nazis. There are real Nazis. White nationalists in the Ukrainian army. And we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars. I thought we were the country that hated Nazis the most. And I'm not talking back during wartime. I'm talking about now. Remember how big of a deal Nazis were? I mean, now granted, we're so low on Nazis that people have to pretend to be Nazis and go rally with their political opponents to make the opponent seem like they support Nazis or the Nazis support them. But nonetheless, we're against Nazis. And the one place that has actual Nazis left, we're sending them billions of dollars. You see the irony here. That's the point of Roseanne's comments. But again, you're not allowed to say those things. It's much like Andrew Tate, as you probably know by now. Andrew Tate just recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson on Tucker Carlson's new Tucker on Twitter show. I feel like I was talking like Andrew Tate there. Tucker on Twitter. And this was one of the most fascinating interviews I have seen in a long time. I encourage each of you to go check it out. Again, it's on Tucker Carlson's Twitter page. It's very long. It's lengthy. It's 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours. But he explains not only where he stands on issues, which is promoting men's health, mental health, physical health, but he promotes the nuclear family. He promotes raising children, little boys to be men, things that are actually going to save the world. And guess what they're doing because he's doing that? What they're trying to do to him? They're throwing him in jail. They're accusing him of human trafficking. The allegation is, no, he wasn't tying people up and shipping them across international borders. No, he was convincing girls to do TikTok videos and then keeping the revenue for himself, which he says he did not do. But even if he did, doesn't really sound like human trafficking to me. But they need a reason to throw him in jail. Look at Julian Assange. When Julian Assange let out the secrets of our government, what happened? They accused him of rape. When you accuse somebody of rape, of sexual assault, of human trafficking, that's a scarlet letter. That's all they got to do, and the public's not going to question it. Ooh, human trafficker. Don't want to be around that guy. Don't want to defend him out in public. They just slap that on you, and then you've got nobody in your corner backing you up. This guy is trying to reverse engineer what society and what this country has done to men and is attempting to do to young boys. And that is feminize them. It's like Alex Jones always said. They're trying to turn the frogs gay as a test run. The estrogen, the the stuff that they're putting in the water, that was just a test run to make sure they could feminize all the boys and the men of the world.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
It's a real thing. It's an actual real thing. It's what they put in the food. They put it in the water. They want you to drink soy and almond milk because it feminizes guys. Why do you think they're so adamant about transitional surgery, transgender surgery, promoting transgenderism? When the government decides to fully take over and we need a society that can fight back, you think if a majority of society is transgender, we're going to be able to do that? You think an army of Dylan Mulvaney's are going to take down the government? Not a chance. My advice, if you take anything from this podcast, is if someone gets canceled, investigate as to why they were canceled. Instead of just accepting why somebody's been canceled, look into it yourself and figure out why they got canceled. Is it because they legitimately did something wrong? Or is it because they needed to be silenced? Always ask that question. I'm Andrew McLean. Don't forget AndrewMcLeanWho.com. Like, share. Let everybody know about the over-the-line hot takes. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. And until next time, see you, cook!